There's a road to your house that you never call home, where they turned out your lights, though they say you'll never know. I remember running through the wet grass, falling a step.
What is up, everybody? Bobby here, the Geek Guru, back again. Geek, definitely guru. But today I wanted to talk about collecting. I had a request to do a video basically based upon how I got into collecting, how I got started, what I did, and all that stuff. I've been collecting since I was a little kid. Always collecting something. I collected baseball cards. There was a time I collected business cards. Every business I would go into, I'd grab a business card and collect them, and just got into a weird, not that they, I thought they were worth anything, but they were just cool to have. I'd get gold ones, or I found, some cool ones, some wooden ones and things like that. Then I got into comic books. I think the first thing you have to determine if you're going to collect is A, are you doing it for money, or are you doing it for the enjoyment of collecting? If you're doing it for money, don't even get involved, because then it becomes like the stock market. You're buying stuff to determine whether it's going to be worth valuable, or you're buying stuff with the idea of trying to figure out, will it be valuable later on in life that you could sell it and make money. I don't collect to sell or make money. I collect because I enjoy it. I love it. For me, I transitioned as I got older. Like I said, when I was a kid, I collected baseball cards. Then I collected comic books. Then I hit a point where I was like, man, I'm too old to read comic books, and I stopped. But I had that desire to be in a comic book shop, be around it, and all that stuff. And that's what got me into collecting statues. The first statue I ever bought that got me going was from the Batman comic book Hush, written by Jeff Loeb, drawn by Jim Lee. They did a statue based upon the art of Jim Lee for that, and that got me off and going. Right after that, I bought Catwoman. That was a companion statue to it, and then I started getting into the black and whites. I think the thing is you got to determine, what do you like? What are you into? Are you into Nintendo? Are you into other video games? Are you into Final Fantasy, stuff like that? You got to determine. I think the first thing you need to determine is what's out there that's collectible. What can you get your hands on? Statues are cool. Toys are cool. My only issue with toys are, if you ever need to offload them or get rid of them, for whatever reason, they don't hold their value when you take them out. It doesn't matter if you put them in a glass case like this with the lighting and all that stuff. It'll never hold its value. All my statues I can resell. I can put them back in a box, resell them, and get rid of them. And the only reason I say that, I know in the beginning I said, if you're looking to make money, don't get into it. I'm not selling these ever to make money. I might be selling them to make room, to get off of, to get rid of some, to make room for others, things like that. I might sell them just because, I don't like it no more and I want to get rid of it, or I might sell it just because of the fact of hey, maybe I need $50. Something like that, and you just, there's value with the statues because they hold their value outside of the box. For a toy to hold value, it has to remain in the box. They grade the box as well as the toy that's inside of it. I'm not into that. I don't care about all that. I don't care that much about it to say, hey, for me to make any money off this later on in life, or when I resell it later on in life, it's got to be all in it now. I'd rather just take something that I can pull out of the box, I can look at it, admire it, my friends and family that come over can admire it, and can check it out, and then time comes, I'm done with it, I can box it up, sell it on eBay, give it away, whatever I wanted to do, I could do. So that was my first determination, that I wanted to be around comic books or that fashion of Batman, Superman, stuff like that, and that's what got me going. So for me, that's what I did. The next step was to find a place that sold them. Statues are very hard to come by. They're very hard to find. when I started collecting, the internet wasn't a viable avenue. Like you had, don't get me wrong, you could go to stores, but a lot of comic book shops don't sell online. You know, because a lot of comic book shops are mom and pop, and you know they don't have the knowledge to get into the internet and all that stuff. You're starting to see it more now, but when I first started collecting statues, you didn't have that. You need to go to a comic book shop, and ones that had statues and things like that, and that was another rarity. It was you had places that would have comic book shops, you know, where they would sell comics, but that's all they sold. Or they would have one shelf, one rack like this, with one or two statues in it, and that was it. A couple of toys, a couple of T-shirts, and that was it. You know, and then I happened to be working one day, and a buddy of mine walked in, a sales rep walked in and just said to me, he saw a copy of Wizard magazine, and was like, "Hey, you're into comics?" And I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "Oh man, my buddy's own a comic book shop up in Toms River, New Jersey. It's actually Bayville, New Jersey, but Toms River is the closest big town to it that you go to. Called Conquest Comics. You should go check it out." And I was like, yeah. But it was like an hour away, hour and a half away, and I'm like, man, I just don't feel like driving up there. So it started off that I just friended them guys on Facebook, and I would go to different places and pick up statues. But I started getting into eBay, and I was getting some deals. But the problem with eBay was you didn't know whether you get good statues. Like I bought a statue once, it was broken. I had to file a ticket and get the money, and then I got the second I bought the same exact statue from another guy, broken again. Just frustrating because you can't see the statue. The other problem was there was a lot of times that I would see a statue online, and I would be like, I gotta have that, and then I'd get it, and it was just like, the wow factor wasn't there. And then there was ones where I was just like, God, I think this looks horrible. And then you would like see it in person someplace. It was like, oh my God, I gotta have this thing. It's awesome. That's happened more than once to me. So I started to get away from the internet, and I needed to find some place to go that I could buy statues and see them. That moved me into Conquest Comics because they were having a sale. It was a free comic book day sale. And what they did was I think they were like 40% off on statues. And I go in and I see a lot of cool black and whites. And black and whites are like this one here. It's just a black and white statue of Batman. And at the time I was collecting them, because they weren't that much money. They were maybe $40 or $50 a piece. Not that much, you know, compared to something bulkier. Like I paid $300 for the Batman vs Superman from The Dark Knight Returns. But it's a big, hefty piece. You know, now these black and whites, they go for $100, $110. You know, they got pricey as time went on. So $50 at the time was like, that's nothing. I could buy a couple of them, no big deal, and not even worry about it. Now it's like, for $100, you know, that's a quarter of the way to my sideshow pieces. Do I really want to get into that? So now the piece really has to speak to me in order for me to buy a black and white. So I got in and I just started buying. When I first started, I basically had about 15 statues, I would say. And I just had like a couple of shelves around the room, but I had like empty spaces. Like, you know, it was like you'd look and you go, I'm going to put a piece there, and my next piece I'll buy, I'll put it over there. But I was buying them rarely. Me and my wife moved out of that house into another house, and she had said, like, hey, you can have this whole room for your, you know, we were calling it the Bat Cave. And I was like, all right, that's cool, that works. And, you know, it was a decent sized room. So I jumped on and I started buying some stuff, and we wound up moving out of that house very quickly, and we moved into the house we're in currently. We moved into this house, and when we came downstairs into the basement, half of the basement is finished. And that's where I'm at now. I'm in the Bat Cave again, downstairs. But so the determination was like, hey, you can have it downstairs. You can do whatever you want to do with it down here. Put your statues. So I did, and I had some shelves and stuff, and then I started going to forums, message boards that were based upon statue collectors, and a lot of them kicked me off to IKEA. This shelf is from IKEA. Everything, the lights, the shelves. I have a giant bottom shelf that goes underneath that lifts these up. I bought everything. I think I paid, I want to say, on this wall here, you can't see it all, but on this wall here, I got 4 big cases that are the size of this, with a big case underneath of it. Everything's lit up. I think it was $500 for the whole setup. And then a year later, I went and did the exact same replica on my far wall over here. Eventually, I'm going to do one where I'm going to do a video where I basically go case to case, and that'll be, you know, a show and tell kind of what I have down here. But for the most part, you know, this case is all lit up. That case isn't lit up yet. I will eventually. But IKEA is a good place to get the shelving and stuff like that. If you're going to do collecting, guys, here's a tip. If you want to collect, the biggest thing I always hear from guys is, man, you're so lucky your wife lets you do this stuff. And I am lucky. I'm very lucky that she allows me to get into this and do what I want to do. But at the end of the day, why does she let me do what I want to do? Because it's not sloppy. Everything looks pristine. It looks beautiful. Like, even she comes down and is like, wow, this is impressive. You know, people come down into here for the first time and they're just like, oh my God, this is just amazing. Like, do I think this is the best collection there is? No. I've seen some collections that just blow me out of the water. But I think that I do a heck of a job in keeping it nice and detailed. Everything's organized. Everything's a certain way, particular way. Like, everything I do is just a certain addition. When I add something, it's just not slapped in. It's set in a particular place, and it looks nice. And don't try to take over the living room where everybody comes into. Try to take a little nook or someplace for yourself away. A woman's not going to let you take the front living room and say, hey, this is my room, you know, because if you're going to have people coming over and all that, you don't want, and not only that, like, if you have little kids coming over, you don't want them touching your stuff and banging it around and breaking it. You're collecting statues, these are pricey. They're not cheap. And I don't let a lot of little kids down here unless I'm watching them like a hawk and making sure they're not touching anything. One of my sideshow statues alone set me back anywhere from $350 to $400. But let's go back to the collecting end of it. Go back to that part of it where the best bet, I think, is to get a relationship with a comic book shop or wherever you're going to buy from. You get that face-to-face customer service contact where they see that you're serious, they see that you're taking it serious, and they wind up helping you out and doing anything you ask. I used to go to Conquest Comics, and I would roll in there, and I would go in with whatever cash I had for the day, and I would look around and buy stuff, and didn't realize they had a layaway program set up there. And I would just, you know, do whatever. So what happened was one day, Sideshow decided, we're going to buy the license for DC. At the time, I was always buying DC Direct. And I said, man, these statues are amazing. Because I would go into Conquest and I would see these crazy, amazing statues of, like, the Incredible Hulk and Spider-Man and Wolverine and the X-Men and the Avengers and Thor and all these great, impressive statues. Never any DC. So Sideshow comes out and says, we're going to release the first piece. It's going to be the Joker. I'm a huge Batman fan. And you tell me you're making a statue of the Joker, and this thing looks the way this statue looks, I'm all over it. Believe me. So I go into the comic book shop and I said, now I could have went to sideshow.com. I think it's sideshowtoys.com. And I was like, I could have went in an easy pay plan. But I went into Chris, one of the owners of Conquest Comics, and I said, Chris, I'm really interested in a statue. I just don't have $350 right up front. I was going to do this payment plan with Sideshow. And he goes, I can do the same thing with you. And I go, really? And he goes, yeah. You know, you make your payments, put a little deposit down every time you come in, because I go in there about once a month. Every time you come in, give me more money, and we're good to go. Sold. You got me. Now, the only difference is, if I buy a Sideshow piece, I can't get the Sideshow exclusive pieces because they don't allot any money for the vendors, for the stores, the retailers to make money. On the regular editions, they do. But for me, there's not a whole lot in the special editions to make me say, "Hey, I gotta have that." On the Joker piece, it was a different head. That's fine. That's all well and good. But for me, I'd rather support the brick and mortar. And I say that, guys, and I say it a lot. And here's why. Sideshow's going to get their money no matter what. All right. The question is, are you buying the exclusive because you want to resell it later? Again, the reselling value. Or are you buying it because you enjoy the piece and you like it? When I tell you there's really no difference between the Joker that is the normal one and the exclusive. The difference is the head. And another thing, the head, I feel, is much more amazing of the normal one as opposed to the exclusive. The exclusive, he has a hat on. It's okay. I mean, it's cool. It's okay. He's biting his lip. But I'm just not a huge fan of it. The regular normal edition, I'm a huge fan of. The Batman special edition, all he has is a Batarang in his hand. But the fact of the matter is that it's still a beautiful piece. And you see it, and it's just like, it's the same price. I just want to support the brick and mortar. And I say that because if you don't support them, they're going to go away. And my feeling is this. That's what gets you there. You know, that's what, when you're a little kid, you walk into that comic book shop for the first time, and that's what gets you collecting. So that's my feeling, is I want to give back to the comic book shops to keep, you know, the collecting going and keep the stores around. And so again, collect for fun, collect because you love it, stuff like that. Determine what you're into. What is it you like? Again, is it Nintendo? Is it Final Fantasy? Is it Batman? Is it Marvel? Is it DC? Is it Superman? Is it Captain America? Whatever. When I first started, it was strictly Batman. That's all I bought was Batman. And then as time went on, I transferred over and I started to collect DC stuff. Moving into Superman and all that stuff. So you got to make that determination of what are you into. Then do your research. Go online, look at stuff. Maybe buy some stuff off eBay. Look at it, bid on it, try to get some stuff cheap. But look for message boards. When I started collecting statues, I looked for statue forums. Got involved with the community, asked the guys questions, stuff like that. Posted pictures of my collection. Looked at other people's collections to see what was good and what wasn't. You know, things like that. Determine what's your holy grail. What's the piece that you want more than anything in the world? And then put a price on it. And you got to tell yourself that I'm not going to spend more than this. The other thing is, and it's very easy to do, don't collect outside of your means. If your car payment is due tomorrow and it's $300, don't go spend that $300 on a statue or whatever it may be. Think smart. You know, that statue, you can find it later on. Trust me. It's not worth losing everything over. You have to be willing to go search and find stuff. Because again, I really strongly urge, when you're starting off, you know, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to buy stuff that you shouldn't buy. And, you know, but you want to make sure that if you are buying off the internet, you know, that's okay. Just don't be strictly internet. You know, go do whatever. Go to the comic book shops to find whatever. If you're collecting video games, vintage retro video games, get up early, get to the flea markets. You know, get out there and don't be afraid to talk to people. Don't be shy. Ask questions. You know, if you ask people questions, you'd be surprised the answers you'll get and how willing people are to help you out and to give you advice. And if they don't see something, you know, maybe you're looking for something particular, they can tell you like, hey, I don't have it this week, but I might have it in a couple weeks or whatever. You know, if I wouldn't have asked Chris about a layaway plan that Sideshow offered, I wouldn't have most of the statues I have right now. Because these statues are hefty priced. But I will go to the comic book shop, put money down, and when the time comes, I just pick it up and take it. You know, and the guys treat me like gold now because they know that, you know, if I say I'm going to buy something, I'm going to buy it. I tell them, hey, I'm going to get this, I'm going to get that, and they bring it in. And they even know my taste now. So I don't even have to say that I want something. They just bring it in the door because they know, hey, he'll buy this. This is his style. This is up his alley. He's going to buy it. So get that rapport, So that's pretty much it. That's all I got for now. Hopefully this video helped you guys out a little bit. If you have more questions or you need advice on collecting or things like that, hit me up in the comment section below. Throw some questions out there. I'll follow up, do another follow-up video. Answer them questions for you the best that I can. That's all for now. Thanks guys for watching. Please remember to hit that like button, click the share button, send it out to all your friends on the interwebs. Let them all see it and all that stuff. Subscribe. If you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. And that's it. You can follow me 3 different avenues. We got Twitter at the Geek Gurus, Instagram at the Geek Gurus. On Instagram, I show off my statues. I post pictures up of that stuff. So if you're interested in seeing more, check it out. And then Facebook.com/the Geek Gurus. That's all. Peace, mother.
She calls me from the cold, just when I was low, feeling short of stable. All that she intends, and all she keeps inside is in on the label.